My mother-in-law posted a photo of me and my 9-year-old with the caption, "Some people should not be allowed to have kids." Her whole family jumped in, mocking us, piling on insults, liking every cruel comment. My husband didn't join. He posted this. The group chat went dead silent. I found my daughter Hazel in her room tearing up her favorite painting. Not just any painting, the one she'd worked on for 3 days, the one she'd carried around the house like a pet, the one she told me she was finally proud of. Half of it was already shredded on the floor when I walked in. She didn't hear me at first. Her shoulders were shaking. Her hands were shaking. Everything in her was shaking. "Haze?" I said, trying to keep my voice level. "What are you doing?" She froze mid-rip. Slowly, she turned her head toward me, eyes red, lashes clumped, face blotchy in that heartbreaking way where you can tell she tried not to cry, but failed hard. "I'm fixing it," she whispered. "Fixing what?" "Me." Those 2 syllables punched the air out of my lungs. Before I could respond, she reached for her phone and held it out with a trembling hand. "I didn't want to show you," she mumbled. "But I think you have to see." There was something about the way she said "have to" that made my heart do an ugly somersault. I took the phone. And there it was, a photo of me and Hazel in her room. Hazel smiling, paint on her cheek, me laughing at something she'd said. And behind us, yes, the usual explosion of markers and art and half-finished creations. It looked like a 9-year-old with a big imagination lived there, which, shocking news, she does. Then the caption, "Some people should not be allowed to have kids." I felt my pulse trip over itself. But Hazel wasn't looking at the picture. Her eyes were on me, watching, bracing. "Grandma posted it," she said, "in the family chat and on Facebook. Stella sent it to me. She said, Grandma is trying to warn people." I swallowed hard. "Warn them about what?" Hazel's lip wobbled. "Me?" "What? Hazel, no!" "Read the comments," she whispered, hugging her knees the way she does when she's trying not to fall apart. So I scrolled. My husband's sister Valerie commented, "This is honestly scary. Something is wrong with Hazel. No normal kid's room looks like that." Aunt Linda wrote, "She looks unstable in this pic. Look at her eyes. Does she get tested for stuff?" Uncle Todd added, "That child needs help. This is more than just messy. Kids who live like this grow up with major issues." Cousin Megan commented, "Is she medicated?" My friend's kid had the same problems before they diagnosed her. "Just saying." Some relative I barely even knew wrote, "It's not right. That girl looks off. I'd be worried." Every line was a scalpel, slicing Hazel open while she watched. I scrolled further, each comment worse than the last. Valerie again. "Poor thing. She's basically being raised feral. No structure, no stability. What do you expect?" And then, like clockwork, Cheryl wrote again. "I've tried to help, but Jenna refuses to admit Hazel has issues. This room is always like this. It's not normal. Something isn't right with her. Not, she's a messy kid. Not, she's creative. Not, maybe we should mind our own business. No, just something isn't right with her." Hazel tucked her face down so her hair fell forward. "They think I'm broken," she whispered. My chest tightened. "Hazel? Grandma said you shouldn't have kids," she said. "But I'm your kid. So, she wishes you didn't have me." She didn't say it dramatically. She said it like a math equation, like she'd solved something. I sat beside her. "Hazel, look at me." She didn't. So I gently moved the hair from her face. Her eyes were full of tears, but still searching mine for the one answer that could stop everything from crashing. "There is nothing wrong with you," I said. "Not one thing." She dropped her gaze. Then why does everyone say there is? Because they're cruel. Because adults sometimes forget kids can read. Because your grandmother cares more about being right than being kind. Because this family treats different like a diagnosis. Because they're wrong, I said, steady as I could. All of them. Especially Grandma. Hazel nodded once, but she didn't believe me yet. I could feel it. She sniffed and reached for another painting, her sunset one, and I caught her wrist. "Why are you throwing out your art?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "If I stop making messes, maybe they'll stop hating me." I swear I saw red behind my eyelids. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed in my hand. A new notification from the family group chat. Of course, because what 9-year-old doesn't need another blow before bedtime? I clicked. More comments were rolling in, like everyone had suddenly remembered they had opinions they forgot to weaponize earlier. My father-in-law Gerald wrote, "Kids don't act like this unless something's off. And Jenna just enables it." Some uncle named Bill apparently added, "Looks like a cry for help, honestly. That child's environment is not normal." Another relative wrote, "This explains her behavior. I thought she just lacked discipline, but something deeper is happening." My vision blurred. Then the next notification hit. "Ryan is typing." Hazel looked up fast. "Dad?" I nodded slowly. Ryan hates confrontation. If he's typing something in the family thread, it's either a grocery list or the end of days. Hazel leaned against me, quiet now, watching that blinking dot like it was counting down to something. I slipped her phone out of her hands before anything came through. She didn't ask why. She just folded into my side. The dots blinked. Stopped. Started again. My chest tightened. Ryan had no idea Hazel saw the post. No idea she was sitting right beside me, waiting to see which version of her father would show up. Then the typing bubble disappeared. No message. Just an empty screen and a 9-year-old trying not to breathe too loudly. Hazel whispered, "Mom?" I kept my arm around her, eyes on the screen that had gone still. At the time, it felt like nothing. Just another pause in a day full of them. Looking back, I know that silence mattered far more than I realized. In the moment, it was just me and Hazel pressed together, waiting for whatever came next. If you want to know how we got here, how a grandmother ended up publicly diagnosing my child like she was auditioning for Best Amateur Psychologist with 0 credentials, you have to understand one thing. Cheryl does not believe in mess. Not dislikes it. Not prefers things tidy. No, Cheryl treats mess the way other people treat venomous snakes, with fear, disgust, and the deep spiritual conviction that it only happens because someone has failed morally. I learned that the first time she walked into our apartment back when Ryan and I were dating. I had 3 mugs in the sink and a stack of unopened mail on the counter. She surveyed the scene like she'd stumbled into a crime documentary. "Wow," she said. "You live like this?" I laughed because I thought she meant it jokingly. She did not. That was my first red flag. The second was how fast Ryan apologized for me. That was years ago, before Hazel was even a twinkle in my uterus. Back when I still believed I could win Cheryl over with baked goods and polite conversation. Back when I didn't realize that she considered creative a synonym for broken. The third red flag was Valerie, Ryan's sister. Valerie was the blueprint. Perfect home, perfect children, perfect hair that probably had its own social media following. Her kids, Mason and Stella, Hazel's cousins, were held up as the family gold standard. Their rooms looked like catalog displays, white bedding, labeled bins, plants that somehow didn't die. Hazel's room looks like a craft store after a grenade went off, but in a charming way if you have a soul. Every time Valerie visited, she found a new way to say, "Your child is weird," without actually using those words. "She's very imaginative," she'd say, staring at Hazel's wall of taped drawings like they were visual proof of everything she feared in life. Or, Stella never needed so much stimulation. Maybe Hazel gets overstimulated easily? You know, if she's sensitive. Sensitive, scattered, unstable, different, always coded, always pointed, always concern wrapped in a thin tortilla of judgment. And Cheryl ate it up. She loved comparing the cousins, loved the way Stella lined up her crayons, and Hazel made entire universes out of scrap paper and glitter, but not in the kids are unique and wonderful kind of way. No, she treated it like a morality tale. Good child versus whatever Hazel was supposed to be. I don't know when Cheryl decided Hazel's creativity wasn't just mess, it was pathology. But it happened quietly, gradually. A comment here, a comment there. Hazel gets overwhelmed easily. Hazel doesn't seem to know how to calm herself. Hazel's room gives me anxiety. Once, and I will never forget this, Cheryl bent down in front of Hazel, who was 6 at the time, and said with deadly serious grandma concern, "Sweetie, does it feel confusing inside your head? Because it looks confusing in here." Hazel just blinked. I nearly bit through my tongue. But Ryan? He said nothing. Not because he agreed. Truth is, he adores Hazel. But because silence is how he survived his childhood. If Cheryl was the queen of order, Ryan was the dutiful knight who didn't complain even when the armor cut into his skin. And this is the part I never wanted to look at too closely. Her obsession with order wasn't just about cleanliness. It was about control. Control she exerted with her voice. Control she maintained with guilt. And control she enforced with money. Well, our money. See, Ryan being the responsible child apparently came with a subscription fee. It started small, just like all financial manipulation does. "Could you help with the electric bill this month? We're short on groceries. Can you pitch in? Gas is expensive. Could you transfer a little? Oh, and since you're dropping Hazel off, could you Venmo me for snacks?" Then it became automatic. A monthly transfer Ryan set up temporarily, which somehow became permanent. He never told me the exact amount until recently. I always assumed it was small. Spoiler, it wasn't small. And the funniest part? The money wasn't even just coming from some corporate ladder he climbed. A chunk of it was coming from me, the person Cheryl sneers at for being too artsy to take life seriously. I'm a graphic designer. My entire income is built on colors, sketches, scribbles, mood boards, half-finished ideas taped to the fridge. Hazel didn't inherit her creativity from nowhere. She got it straight from me. The same chaotic streak Cheryl loves to diagnose like it's a hereditary condition. And yet, somehow, my chaotic streak was helping pay Cheryl's electric bill. The irony was nauseating. It wasn't just the monthly transfer. It was the constant little emergencies, the soft-voiced guilt trips. Once, Ryan asked if I could cover $120 for his parents' urgent groceries because he'd already sent too much that month. I didn't want to. I did it anyway. Fighting felt petty. Saying no felt ungrateful. That's how it always went. I hadn't connected the dots until now. The comments, the criticism, the money, the control. Different heads of the same monster. Hazel was curled beside me, trying to make herself smaller, and Ryan's typing bubble flickered at the bottom of the chat. I didn't know what he was about to say. I just knew things weren't going back to the way they were. The message dropped while Hazel was in the bathroom brushing her teeth. I didn't breathe while I read it. "Mom, you posted a picture of my wife and my daughter and invited the whole family to talk about what is wrong with a 9-year-old. That is not concern. That is cruel. If you think my child is defective, you do not belong in her life. You've been happy to take our money for years, but you have no problem insulting us. That ends now. If you need help, ask Valerie." I should have said this a long time ago. This is the last message you'll get from me. Ryan. No extra lines, no emojis, no love you but. Just that. I stared at it so hard my eyes hurt. For a second, nothing happened. Then under his message, Ryan left the group. If you've never watched a group chat lose its favorite toy, let me tell you, the silence is almost funny. If I hadn't been shaking, I might have laughed. Nobody reacted. Nobody hearted. Nobody wow-faced. It was like the whole family's Wi-Fi cut out at the same time. Then finally, Cousin Dan. Whoa! Aunt Linda. Did he just leave? Valerie. What is going on? I backed out of the chat before I could start doom-scrolling my in-laws' confusion. I didn't need to watch them pretend they had no idea how they'd gotten here. From down the hall, the bathroom door creaked open. Mom? Hazel called. Can I spit now, or will Grandma post that too? The joke was weak, but the fact that she made one at all felt like a small miracle. Spit away, I said, my voice way steadier than I felt. She padded into the bedroom a minute later, hair damp, pajamas on, face clean but still puffy from crying. Did he send it? She asked, climbing onto the bed beside me. Yeah, I said. He sent it. What did Dad say? I thought about showing her the whole thing, letting her see every word. Then I imagined her reading defective again and decided I like my child's nervous system intact. He told them what they did was wrong, I said. He told them they don't get to talk about you like that, and he told them this was the last time. Hazel twisted a loose thread on the duvet. Are they mad? Probably, I said. My phone buzzed. Ryan's name lit up the screen. I stepped into the hallway to answer. Hey, I started, but he cut in. Is she okay? His voice wasn't angry or shaky, just urgent. She saw it, I said. She saw everything. A beat of silence. Not long, but heavy. Okay, he said finally. I'm almost home. That was it. No rambling, no panic. Just a decision landing. He hung up. Hazel was sitting cross-legged on the bed when he walked in a few minutes later, holding herself still the way kids do when they're scared of tipping anything over. He went straight to her. You didn't do anything wrong, he told her, kneeling so they were eye level. Not one thing. What they wrote was wrong. Not you. She breathed out, like she'd been holding it all evening. Okay, she whispered. Can I sleep in your room tonight? Yeah, go pick a pillow, I said. We're doing a family sleepover tonight. That got the smallest smile. She slid off the bed and padded down the hall. The door clicked shut behind her. Ryan didn't pause. He walked straight to the dining table, opened his laptop, and started clicking like he was defusing a bomb, only he knew how to handle. I didn't ask what he was doing. I didn't have to. His shoulders told me everything. Tight, precise, done. A few minutes later, he closed the laptop with a quiet thud. Then my phone rang. Cheryl. I looked at him. He gave a single nod. I put it on speaker. What is this? She snapped immediately. You leave the chat? You embarrass us in front of the whole family? What kind of tantrum is this? Ryan didn't flinch. It wasn't a tantrum. You're being ridiculous, she said. You don't mean that message. You're under stress. Jenna is filling your head with... Stop, he said. Calm. Flat. The kind of voice that ends conversations, not starts them. You owe us, Gerald barked in the background. We raised you. We supported you. You don't get to just walk away. I already did, Ryan said. Cheryl let out a scoff, sharp enough to cut drywall. Fine. Be dramatic. You're still covering the insurance next week, and your father's card is due. And the... No, Ryan said. A long, stunned pause. What do you mean, no? Gerald demanded. I'm not paying for anything anymore. Another silence. This one sharper, confused. I could almost hear Cheryl trying to do the math. You will, she said finally, brittle. Once you calm down, once you realize how ungrateful you're being. Ryan didn't give her the satisfaction of a sigh. I'm not paying for anything ever again. You can't just cut us off, she snapped. You think you can, but you can't. You need to come to your senses. Ryan looked at me, then at the phone. This is me in my senses. You're throwing away your family, she hissed. You made that decision when you posted that picture, he said. Not me. Cheryl went quiet for the first time all night. Then, we'll speak again when you're being reasonable. No, Ryan said. You won't. He ended the call. Just ended it. No dramatic flourish. No trembling hand. Just a thumb and a finality that felt heavier than anything he'd ever said out loud. He set the phone down and exhaled once. Steady, not shaky. From down the hall, Hazel called, Dad, which pillow do you want? Ryan's eyes softened. Whichever one you pick, he called back. He turned to me. His voice was low, certain, a man who had finally cut the right wire. This isn't over, he said. Not after what they did. And I knew he was right. If you've ever watched someone lose control of a narrative they were so sure they owned, you'll know the exact sound Cheryl made 2 days later. It was the digital equivalent of a scream. Cheryl Martin posted in Glenford Neighborhood Families, a public group, thousands of members, local moms, dads, teachers, PTA addicts, the type of people who post lost cat flyers and argue about parking etiquette. And there, in front of all of Glenford, was Hazel's room again. Except this time the caption wasn't, "Some people should not be allowed to have kids." No, this version was much more insidious. I never wanted to post this, but I'm so worried for my granddaughter. I expressed gentle concern about her living conditions and was cut off by my son and his wife. We supported them financially for years, and this is how they treat us. Please tell me, am I overreacting? Doesn't this look unsafe for a child? A few things happened in my body simultaneously. My jaw clenched. My stomach dropped. And some kind of quiet, murderous calm settled in behind my ribs. Gentle concern? I muttered out loud. Is that what we're calling diagnosing a 9-year-old as defective now? And the finance part. The finance part. Supported them for years. I nearly snorted coffee out of my nose. Hazel was at school. Ryan was at work. I was alone with my phone, reading strangers' comments trickle in. User 1. This is so sad, Cheryl. Looks like neglect, to be honest. User 2. Some parents are too sensitive when you try to help them. User 3. Valerie, obviously. You did everything right, Mom. You're just worried for Hazel. Of course Valerie was there, probably refreshing the page like she was bidding on eBay. My fingers shook. Not with fear, just disbelief at how familiar this pattern was. Cheryl loses control. Cheryl rewrites reality. Cheryl begs for public validation. Cheryl's loyal foot soldier, Valerie, arrives with complimentary tissues and gasoline. Then a comment from someone I didn't know. User 8. If the child's room is really like this, honestly, the grandma has a point. You know what? Fine. Enough. I screenshotted the post. I screenshotted the comments. I screenshotted every instance of Cheryl pretending to be Mother Teresa of cleanliness. Then I texted Ryan. You need to see what your mother just did. He replied almost instantly. On my way home. Good, because if I had to sit with this information alone much longer, I was going to start redesigning the concept of consequences. The door opened 20 minutes later. Ryan walked in with that same steel backbone energy he'd had the night he finally stopped tolerating their nonsense, except now it carried a quiet edge. Where is it? He asked. I handed him my phone. He read, jaw tight, eyes narrowing slightly at each line, paused at the "we supported them financially" sentence. Then he exhaled slowly. Okay, he said. She picked the wrong lie today. He walked to the table, sat down, and pulled out his own phone. I thought he was going to rant, or call her, or, God forbid, try to reason with the unreasonable. But no, he typed. A single, precise, lethal comment under Cheryl's post. I watched over his shoulder. Mom, please stop. You didn't express concern. You publicly insulted Hazel, encouraged comments diagnosing her, and used her photo without permission. Also, you haven't supported us financially. I've sent you $26,400 over the last 3 years. This is the last time I'll correct your version of events. Do not post our daughter again. Then he posted one screenshot, the original comment thread where Cheryl and her cheerleaders called Hazel unstable, off, feral, defective. The room went dead quiet. Every hair on my arm stood up. Because in the hierarchy of Martin family disasters, this was Ryan dropping the nuclear code. And Glenford neighborhood families noticed. The comments reversed faster than a church group finding out their pastor has a secret OnlyFans. User 1. Wait. What? That's not concern. That's straight up mean. User 6. I didn't see these comments before. This changes things. User 4. Posting a kid's room to shame her is not okay. Valerie tried to mop up the mess. Valerie. This is being taken out of context. We were all joking. User 7. Joking about a 9-year-old needing medication? That was a joke. Then, User 10. Cheryl. This isn't a good look. And the one that sent Cheryl spiraling. User 12. I'm with Ryan. Don't involve a child in your family drama. I watched Cheryl try to claw it back in real time. Ryan is lying. He's being manipulated. We did support them emotionally. Jenna turned him against us. And then, oh, the cherry on top. We will be contacting a lawyer about visitation rights. Ryan barked a single, humorless laugh. Sure, he whispered. Let's go to court and show the judge the post where you said our daughter looks unstable. That'll go great. Within minutes, the comment section devolved into that awkward, polite silence people adopt when they realize they've sided with the villain. Cheryl stopped replying. The post faded under newer ones about lost dogs and bake sales. But the damage to her reputation? Permanent. At least, that's what I thought. Until 7:14 that evening. The doorbell rang. Hazel was on the couch with us, sketching birds. Ryan and I froze at the same time. We didn't need to look through the window. We could feel who it was. Ryan opened the door only halfway, and there they were, Cheryl and Gerald, looking less like conquerors and more like two people attempting PR damage control before the next board meeting. Ryan, Cheryl said tightly, we need to talk. No, Ryan said. Don't be childish, she snapped. The online drama has gone far enough. We can move past this. You humiliated our daughter, Ryan said. We're not moving past anything. Cheryl scoffed. I posted because I was worried, and instead of thanking me, you cut us off. You're acting like a lunatic. Mom, Ryan said, voice low, patient. You lied. Again. You twisted what happened. Again. And you dragged Hazel into it. Again. Gerald stepped forward. You owe us a conversation. You owe us respect. I don't owe you anything, Ryan replied. And then Cheryl went for the classic hallmark of a narcissistic collapse. We will speak when you come to your senses. Ryan didn't blink. There won't be a next time. Behind me, Hazel peeked around the couch corner, watching her father set fire to generations of conditioning with his bare hands. Ryan, Cheryl tried again, voice cracking just slightly. "You're choosing her over us?" He answered instantly. "Yes, and I should have done it a long time ago." He shut the door. No slamming, no theatrics. Just a quiet end to a decades-long performance. And somewhere behind that closed door, I swear I could feel something enormous shifting. Not in Cheryl, not in Gerald, in us, in our home, in Hazel's world. For the first time, the air felt breathable. And for the first time, I knew the next chapter wasn't going to be about them at all. It was going to be about us. 6 months later, the silence is still holding. Cheryl and Gerald never contacted us again, not directly. Valerie tried once. She called to inform us, in her most wounded princess voice, that Mom and Dad expect you to resume helping them financially. Ryan just said, "That's your problem now," and hung up. She didn't try again. We only hear updates through the Glenford grapevine, which, unfortunately for Cheryl, has a long memory. Her concerned grandma post backfired hard. People still whisper. They avoid her at PTA meetings. Someone told me she tried to volunteer at a school fair and ended up working a booth alone because no one would share a table with her. And then the kicker. They had to sell their house. Downsized to something smaller, cheaper, and much farther away. Actions, consequences, etc. Meanwhile, our life? Better than I ever imagined. All the money Ryan used to funnel into that black hole stays with us now. We took Hazel on her first real vacation. We even visit my parents more. Turns out there's a lot more emotional room when you're not constantly managing other people's expectations. Hazel's drawing almost every day. She told me she might want to be an artist when she grows up. I told her she already is. So, what do you think? Did we go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.